Hi! Hello everyone, this is Aegon of Astora, and welcome back to my blind playthrough of Elden Ring. This is episode number 37, being recorded on Friday the 31st of March, 2023. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, whenever it is you find yourself watching this. So, we found Hyetta. As I mentioned, in between the previous episode and the current one, spent some time combing the area. And where the heck was she? Uh-oh. Lobster friends. There she is. Please leave me alone. Okay, I think we're okay. I think we're good. And yeah, I honestly could not believe my luck. Was searching the sites of grace and just could not find her. And then just started sort of combing the shoreline. And here she is. As I mentioned, it's Friday the 31st of March. It's 8:15 in the morning. I have a meeting with a high-level government bureaucrat at 9 a.m. For my job. And just could not stay asleep for any longer than, for as long as I could have. So here we are. My apologies if I'm a bit loopy. This first segment of the episode will only be about 20-25 minutes or so, because I don't really have all that much time until I need to actually start preparing for the meeting. But rather than sitting around and just being anxious about it, I figured I would start recording this weekend's episode, or hopefully it's this weekend's episode, in that hopefully I will be able to finish by the end of the weekend. But without further ado, let's say hello to Hyetta. Hi, friend.
Hello? Is someone there? Would you donate any Shabriri grapes in your possession to me? I'm on a pilgrimage in search of the distant light, and when I eat one of those grapes, I can feel the light in the back of my eyes.
I believe you know the answer to that question, friend.
You're not like the others who give me grapes, are you? They rest their trembling hands upon me. Howling wordlessly, they gently stroke my eyes. Their frail fingers, emaciated. Yet still, they give me the grapes. But you seem somehow firmer.
Okay, yeah, there's a lot of stuff about hands in this game. We got slick, slidey hands. We got firm hands. We got emaciated hands. We got fingers. Yeah. One thing I have wondered, because there's the 2 fingers and the 3 fingers. Does the 3 fingers include a thumb? Do they count thumbs as fingers? I'm only half joking when I ask that question. Because if... I actually don't know which of the 2 fingers is. Because I was thinking, if the 2 fingers was the pinky finger and the ring finger, then the 3 fingers could be the index, the middle finger, and the thumb. And they could be from the same hand. Again, only sort of half joking when I say these things. Okay, so we've given her a couple of Shabriri grapes at this point, but we still have this other one that we recently picked up. The fingerprint grape. Seared with a repulsive fingerprint burn akin to those that marred his entire body. It says fingerprint. It doesn't really look like, I guess it could be a fingerprint, but yeah. Not pleasant one way or the other. So, yeah, anyways.
You are most kind indeed. May the blessing of the fingers be upon you.
Uh-oh. Is that it? Oh, gosh darn it. Now we have to find her again.
You are most kind. May the blessing...
I've been thinking about this. And I think what we'll do... I would ask you all for feedback, but by the time you see this, it will have already been done, essentially. But what I think I'll do is maybe I'll ask on Twitter, can someone give me, as non-spoilery as possible, a hint as to where we ought to find Hyetta after we've given her 2 Shabriri grapes? Or maybe I'll say, where the heck are we? Purify? Yeah, the Purified Ruins. Where can we find her? Lightseeker Hyetta. Where can we find her? After the Purified Ruins. Yeah, good question. Okay, so I also wanted to check the Academy Gate Town, because that was a place where I really should have looked that up. Someone said we missed an NPC here. I said in the previous episode or the episode prior that it was Hyetta, but I don't know if it was. So we might be missing an additional NPC here. But also, someone mentioned that we were missing something in a chandelier. And by something, I mean a second Academy key that we could give to Thops. That we were missing it in the Academy. That it was in a chandelier somewhere. So the question is, do we continue searching? Yeah, okay. I will use my open world exploration heuristic. And we're going to search all of the immediate area around all of these sites of grace first, and then we'll do the Academy second and look for the key. And so I think what we'll do is we'll do this in a similar way to the NPC roundup, where I will start warping around, but you won't see the warping. You'll just see I'm going to cut to whatever I find, if I find anything. So if you see me warping next to the Academy, then that means essentially that, yeah, I've not found anything in between. So here we go.
Liurnia. Oh, Liurnia. It's me, Diallos. Answer me, would you?
Okay, so it's been quite a long time since we saw Fancy Armor Friend, or Diallos. And this, I suppose, is Liurnia, who was the... that is a dreadful blood texture there. It's all blocky. He said he was looking for someone who was a servant to his house. And I suppose this is her. Why is it always said?
Hello, friend. Tell me if you know, would you? The whereabouts of the hidden house of those despicable fiends. The recusants who hunt their fellow tarnished. They laid hands upon my servant Liurnia, and I refused to let the insult stand. The tale of House Hoslow is told in blood. I, Diallos, swear to deliver the message.
Okay. He didn't give us an option to tell him. Also, he's like speaking normally while holding his head in his hand, which is kind of strange.
They laid hands upon my servant Liurnia, and I refused to let the insult stand. The tale of House Hoslow is told in blood. I, Diallos,
So his house words, but it didn't give me an opportunity to tell him. Honestly, I would tell him about the Volcano Manor. Is it because, like, I need to... Yeah, I'll tell you, friend. You're just not giving me an option to tell you.
They laid hands upon my servant. The tale of I...
Okay. Let's see if we save quit, if he's still around. He is not. So, will we find him in the Roundtable Hold, I wonder?
Ah, you again, is it? The recusants sent a lackey. Can you believe they invited me to join them? Now, after what they did? I can scarcely believe it myself. Did they think me a fool? You might be surprised to learn I took them up on the offer. Then I only had to ask. The location of the recusant hideout. It's on Mount Gelmir, found off the old road that leads west from the town of Windmills. That's where they hide. The manor on the peak. Just you wait, wretched recusants. You'll rue the day you insulted my name by laying hands on Liurnia. The tale of House Hoslow is told in blood, after all.
So when he says they sent a lackey, is he talking about me or is he talking about Scout Zarias? Zarias? Zarias the Scout, indeed.
It's on Mount Gelmir. That's where they hide. Just you wait. The tale of...
Okay, yeah, we've heard that before. Okay, I guess we need to go to Mount Gelmir now. To the Volcano Manor. Oh, okay. Zarias is in her Raya the Scout form.
My serpentine form and the name Zarias were secrets, known only to Lady Tanith and I. Now I share the secrets with you as well. Please keep them safe from anyone else.
Worthy tarnished. I left the serpent-slaying spear in the Lord's chamber. It is the only thing that can kill that horror. Run it through.
Oh, so... don't think I noticed this last time. I don't think this friend has any eyes. Were your eyes plucked out for Shabriri grapes, friend?
It's you, is it? Well, nice to see you again. So you've been invited as well, I see. Then we're comrades in arms henceforth. You watch my back, and I'll watch yours. Yes?
Hey, this guy is not nearly as good a spy as he thinks he is. Unless he's sort of become seduced by this whole thing. Yeah, really hard to say.
I can tell. You're wondering about Liurnia. Well, you see, after much internal debate, I've come to realize revenge is not the answer.
No, of course.
According to Lady Tanith, I've got the stuff of champions.
Oh my goodness.
And champions, ironic as it is, are oft forced to walk a tainted path. It hit me like a bolt from the blue, that my former thoughts were simple naivety. Of course my heart weeps for Liurnia. That unfortunate incident was a cruel twist of fate indeed. But succumbing to the pain and sadness caused won't make me a champion, will it? Liurnia knows this, I'm certain. Fate has laid hard roads for us both, but such is true of any road trod by champions.
So he was absolutely seduced by the promise of becoming a champion. That's, you are a dreadful friend.
I always resented these hands, their pale complexion, a far cry from any warriors, the shame of House Hoslow. But that won't be the case for long. They'll be darkened by grit once I've set out on the path of champions. The tale of House Hoslow is told in blood, after all.
Hey, you know, small hands are fine, provided they're slick and slidey. So, have you ever considered becoming a potentate? Because Gosh darn it. Where are we going to find the potentate for Jarburg? I feel bad for our Jar friends. They're without a leader for so long, you know? As much as I don't agree with autocracy, of course.
I always resent a tale, but that won't be the tale of...
Okie dokes, not really sure where to go from here. Maybe let's try rezoning. Okay, he's gone. I should have known. Hi, friend.
Well, you joined the manor, huh? I don't believe it. Didn't think you had it in you. And here I thought Raya was barking up the wrong tree. All good, though. We're on the same side now. We'll do good work together.
Okay.
Oh, and of course, we can do business, if you like. Patch's Emporium at the Volcano Manor. Specially for you.
Tell me about yourself, friend.
Are you surprised that I belong to the Volcano Manor? I always hated the gibberish about lost grace and the laughable two fingers. I thought I could lend a hand in unmasking the charade. Not to mention, Tanith has always made me curious. I guess her master must really be something, because she's pretty damn smug about it. Even after announcing her blasphemous ambitions, she still stands proud. I've never seen a woman quite like her.
Indeed. So he obviously sells the cookbook for Grace Mimic. Scriptstone, not even sure what that is, so let's see. Margit's Shackle, a fetish bathed in golden magic. Shackles were used to bind the accursed people called the Omen. And these ones were made to keep a particular omen under strictest confinement. Though faint, the shackles still retain vestiges of power, enough to trap the once bound Margit on Earth, if only for a short time. Very interesting. Wonder why he has two different sets of festering bloody fingers. Oh, parrying dagger. Okay, yeah, we want this also. Alright, well, thanks a lot, friend. Really appreciate your mercantile skills. I don't know. Really appreciate your shop. Let's put it that way.
Cheers for that.
I was not expecting Patches to be here, but I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I'm pretty sure these friends were here last time. God, what a dreadful place. Okay, I think we should save quit to see if Patches remains here. Okay, he's still here, so we know where to find Patches.
Ah, hello. What impeccable timing. This is for you.
Letter to Patches.
You're new here at the manor, but if you complete the request, you can improve your standing. Relax. We're old friends. Time's come to pass the torch, right? Go on, break a leg then.
So he wants us to complete his bounty. Classic Patches. A written request from Volcano Manor addressed to Patches, disclosing the name of a Tarnished to be hunted, Great Horned Tragoth. He can be found at the ruin-strewn precipice. Find the red mark on your map for the exact location. So, that name sounds familiar. Great Horned Tragoth. Yeah, do we want to do that? Ruin-strewn precipice, so he's here. You know, I said we would do all the ones that were in locations we've already visited. So yeah, might as well do this one. Let's give it a shot. It might actually be underneath us. Oh, never mind. It is here. Alright, let's do it. I want to say we read about this friend in an item description or something. Oh, crud. I didn't mean to do that. Oh. Quite the fancy weapon you got there, friend. Nice little flip move as well. Ouch. Should maybe not be so patronizing. Very interesting armor as well, I gotta say. Thought we could get him before he hit us there. Rune Arc Froll Calling Finger Remedy. Bull Goat Helm, Armor, Gauntlets, and Greaves. Greathorn Tragoth's helm, adorned with a gold bull goat motif, provides high poise. Tragoth is a famed knight of assistance. Countless Tarnished facing adversity in the lands between have survived thanks only to the great Horned One's aid. So in other words, he's a blue sentinel. This one says that it covers its wearer with a pair of giant horns, providing staunch poise. This one also has some form of horns on it. I do like the curved toes on the leggings. So, let's see what the stats look like. Yeah, so they're much heavier, so we would be heavy rolling were we to put that on. We would still be medium rolling with this. Fashion Souls wise, though, I'm not sure. Oh crud, which gauntlets were we wearing? I think it was the scaled gauntlets. Yeah, that looks right. Okay. Yeah, so really nothing we can use, but that's okay. Alright, let's go let Patches know that we've done his done his homework for him.
Hello again. Welcome to Patch's Emporium. You hunted down Tragoth? Are you certain? No, it's quite all right. Fine work indeed. I'll give Tanith the news. Have some rest, by all means.
He was not expecting us to do it.
Cheers for that.
So in other words, have a rest. We should rezone and then speak with him again. I assume we're just going to end up having to do all of his requests.
Hello again. Welcome to Patch's Emporium. Sharper than you seem, aren't you? I was just holding on to it for you, you know. Here you go. The reward for hunting Tragoth. All yours.
Magma Whip Candlestick.
Cheers for that.
It's going to keep doing laps between here and the site of grace.
Hello again. Welcome to Patch's Emporium.
Oh, no more requests. Okay.
Stingy little beggar. Try to find it in your heart next time, eh?
Sorry, Patches. Oh. Oh. So we're missing something there. Obviously, I imagine there's a few things we've not been able to access here yet. But was that from here? No. Oh. Silly snail.
Ah, it's you, is it? I'm terribly sorry. But would you mind giving me some time to myself? I haven't achieved anything at all thus far. Even though I've dirtied my hands time and time again, I'm still yet to achieve anything. Perhaps I am a fool after all. No, it's worse than that. As things stand, I've given up on the path of revenge and sullied the name of my house. What an easy mark I must have been. How did it take me so long to realize, honestly? There's just no end to my foolishness, is there?
There's one way out, friend. You could give me your armor.
Perhaps I am a fool after all. No, it's worse than that.
Alright. So, in other words, this is all a big... Maybe not a pyramid scheme. I'm not sure the term I'm looking for, but essentially, you end up doing these quests and expecting some form of advancement, but you end up just spinning your wheels and perpetually trying to please Lady Tanith. But, yeah, it doesn't seem to work.
Perhaps I am a fool after all. No, what an idiot.
Alright, there must be some other way we're supposed to advance his quest line.
You're still alive, I see. Well,
Hey look, it's General Radon. Last time we were here, I did not know that. Okie dokie. think that's it for here for now. Still don't know what the deal is with Eyeless Friend. Okay, shall we continue our search for the maiden? I suppose so. So, yeah, I suppose I'm just gonna have to check all of the really obvious places where an NPC might be. And that will obviously take a while, so I'm not going to include all of that in the episode itself. So I suppose what I'll do is cut it or fade it into the next shot in just a moment. And that shot will be the next time I come across something that is seemingly noteworthy, or once we found the NPC that we're looking for, our maiden friend, whose name I've already forgotten, gosh darn it. Hyetta. Once we found Hyetta. Although it's always interesting to speak with the finger readers after we've sort of completed an area, because then their vague proclamations actually do make a bit more sense.
You, please, I can read them. Your fingers, please, your fingers. Oh, bless you. Miquella's favor can be yours. Slaughter, slaughter, slaughter. The all-hearing slaughtered. But alas, it was for naught. But all you need do is snatch it from the big pot. Pity the poor, poor fool.
Okay, okay, so a couple things there. First is that, yeah, that actually does not make sense to me yet. However, there were some hints, I think. So, she mentioned Miquella's favor. And I want to say... Oh no, I was mixing Miquella up with... So we have heard about Miquella and Miquella's favor. I believe that was in item descriptions. I was thinking for a second that was a reference to Melania, the person who is seemingly responsible for the rot in Caelid. So not quite. Yeah, who exactly Miquella is lost on me at the moment. Cannot remember for the life of me, so you'll have to forgive me for that, but all we have to do is snatch it from the big pot. So my assumption, the only big pot I can think about returning to Caelid is the pot that is standing in front of the Caelid Coliseum. So perhaps we'll see if maybe it's worth going there in this episode. So my plan in this episode is to return to Caelid, or was to return to Caelid, but now we're obviously on this wild goose chase for Hyetta. Yeah. I'm starting to wonder, maybe it's more likely that we'll find Hyetta in the Academy of Raya Lucaria proper, as opposed to in the open world areas, although we've seen her twice in the open world areas, but it's possible that we saw her there because she was en route to the Academy. Although, you know, on the other hand, how would she even get into the academy? She doesn't have a key, right? That's the whole thing with Sorcerer Thops. He doesn't have a key, so he can't get in. Yeah, quite the pickle. Quite the pickle indeed. This is, I believe, where we found Fancy Armor Friend. Oh my... I cannot believe it. I was thinking, you know, on the map, we found her here, or like first we saw she was here, then we found her here. I'm like, what if she just kept going north? Oh my goodness. Wow, I can't believe it. Okay. Hi, friend.
Hello? Is someone there? Would you donate any Shabriri grapes in your possession to me? I'm on a pilgrimage, in search of the distant light. And when I eat one of those grapes, I can feel the light in the back of my eyes.
Oh, I guess we don't have any grapes left?
Hello? Would you donate
Oh.
and when I eat...
But what about that thing we had from Fingerprint Grape? Why can't we give this to her? Unless we need to give her a requisite number of Shabriri grapes first. Okay, well, we know that she's here. So, hopefully she doesn't go anywhere. She does not, at least not for now. Yeah, how many Shabriri grapes does she need, I wonder? Okay, so I think next we should head to the academy and try to find that key that seemingly we're missing. Thanks, Torrent. Okay, so we're clearly missing something. Someone also said something in the comments about being warped somewhere from the academy. It might have been Volcano Manor? But I did not personally see any sending gates that, you know, I guess obviously, yeah, if I had seen a sending gate, I wouldn't have missed it. And I clearly missed it, so it goes without saying that I didn't see one. This is where we ended up. Yeah, there's the shortcut ladder there. So even though this is the start of the area, it does link to the what is essentially the end of the area via the ladder there. This is the... Who's aggroed onto me here? Oh, this friend? Okay, that was a close one. Yeah, this is the Church of the Cuckoo. Might as well have a rest. Although, gosh darn it, that just respawned everyone. Whoops. Oh well, that's okay. Thankfully, we are now... Ooh, marionette soldier armor. We are now well in excess of the level you require to absolutely stomp everything here. So, armor of metal bands arranged in a lattice worn by marionette soldiers crafted to serve the sorcerers. The construction of this armor is remarkably crude, now rusted over and severely dented. For a doll, the only thing that matters is that it does not break. I guess that they're not really into fashion souls. Okay. Got the item there. Also, item there. So yeah, just trying to make sure that... Oh no, it's just the message. So that looks a lot like the Academy, or not the Academy key, the... Oh, candlestick is floating in the middle of the air. This looks a lot like the statue that we use at the Carian Study Hall, except it's right side up, it's not upside down. So I wonder if we could have taken that previously. So I think someone mentioned something about a chandelier. Oh gosh darn it. Someone mentioned something about a chandelier. I don't know if that was in reference to... Oh, there it is, okay. Alrighty then. So we have to go up. Or... it's not an Anor Londo type situation where you just shoot it down, okay. Oh, so we have to jump. Okay, I see where we went wrong. There was that part where we were walking across the beams. And I was just focused on how frightened I was, and not on looking down to see whether there might, in fact, be some sort of... wow, frame rate. Looking down to see whether there might be some sort of thing we need to pick up there. Okay, so we need to go up, in other words. Up before down, as they say. Because I don't believe we can go up from here. Oops. I assume that friend would have been a single spawn, but I guess not. Okay, I think this is the Church of the Cuckoo right here. Indeed. Oh gosh darn it, I'm scared. Might be easier to drop down on this beam first. Ugh. Ugh. Okay, all good. Academy Glintstone Key. Shout out to whomever it was in the comments who alerted me to the presence of this item. Okay, yeah. Next time maybe try to be a bit more vague, because the chandelier thing sort of gave it away, but I guess, yeah, they didn't say exactly where it was, so fair enough. But anyways, let's head to the lake-facing cliffs. Guess what, friend?
Back to learn another? Why, of course. Are you certain you're willing to give your glintstone key to me? My, oh my. Thank you. Thank you dearly. Now I can go back to the academy to resume my study of glintstone sorceries. And the very stars.
Erudition.
Back to learn another? Why, of course. Thank you dearly. With your blessing, I will depart for the Academy of Raya Lucaria. Or perhaps one day you'll pay me a visit? Who knows? I may be a decorated sorcerer by then.
Oh no, I have a feeling that's not going to end well.
Thank you. With your blessing, perhaps, who knows?
I'm going to save quit to see if he's gone. He is indeed gone. I guess the trouble is now we have to actually find him. Okay, that was not there before. Ash of War Thops' Barrier. This Ash of War grants an armament the magic affinity and the following skill. Thops' Barrier. Erect a magical force field while swinging the shield to deflect sorceries and incantations. Can also be used in the same way as a regular parry. So, magic parry, essentially. I'm trying to think of, like, the mechanics of how he would have left that. Because, yeah, they're supposed to roll clumps of ashes, which are memories of the shattering. Oh, but somehow it rolled clumps of ashes containing Thops' skill. After he left, specifically. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Unless he, like, dropped some ashes out of his pocket on the way or something. Okay, so I guess now we have to find him here, which is potentially going to be a pain in the rear. But yeah, we'll start by just checking all of the relevant sites of grace first. Okay, I guess I'll just cut to when I find him. Although, you know, I imagine he's probably... Maybe he's in the Grand Library or something, because I don't know that he's going to be in the beginning of the area, seeing as you can't get the key for him until such time as you've completed the area, or at least until such time as you've progressed as far as you need to get the key. Which is to say, maybe not the Grand Library, because you don't need to defeat Rennala to gain access to the key. So maybe somewhere between the debate parlor and where Rinoa is. Now, there are quite a few places he could be. I imagine he might have been available as a summon for the Rinoa fight. It is quite difficult to say. Because you would expect to find him somewhere doing research. I'm much too lazy, though, to search the entire area right now. Well, I say lazy. I'm also trying to be mindful of the recording time I have, which is not significant. And so maybe we do find him at the Grand Library. I suppose that would be one of the more obvious places to do research. Oh, crud. Oh. Brute force that. Okay, so yeah, I think we should maybe just head towards the Grand Library. Oh, that was closer than it ought to have been. Oh, Thops, friend, where are you? Gosh darn it. Oh. Pretty sure we... when we came here last time, there was a message that said, research, and I just laughed at it, not realizing the significance of it. Oh, rip Thops, friend, I'm sorry. Thops' bell-bearing, Academy Glintstone staff, Thops' barrier. The lifelong pursuit of Thops the Bluntstone creates a magic force field that deflects sorceries and incantations, hold to continuously create barriers. Future generations will learn. They will know the foolishness of the sneering sorcerers who ridiculed this theory, little realizing that it was, in fact, a discovery worthy of a new conspectus of the Academy. So he was sort of a scholarly outsider, so to speak. Yeah, interesting stuff. I have a lot to say about outsiders and the idea of demarcation in science and technology and philosophy, but yeah, probably just an upgrade material based on the color of it, but clearly I've missed something up there. Might as well just go grab it now. But yeah, I'm not really prepared to launch into a discussion of that because obviously it's a complex topic. The idea of demarcation, but he was on the wrong side of demarcation, essentially. Golden Rune. Demarcation is essentially, I guess I'll just briefly say something about what demarcation is. It's how you separate what is true and valid from what is untrue and invalid. And, you know, in particular, and I guess it's related to what you would describe as boundary work. So wherein you construct a boundary around what you would consider to be scientific and what you would consider to be pseudoscientific or non-scientific, One of these friends, just leave me alone. I'm just chatting with the viewers here. I have no quarrel with you, friend. Oh, okay. He's just finding a new dig site. So, yeah. Carl Sagan, interestingly enough, was, through much of his scientific career, was sort of on the wrong side of demarcation from a lot of scientists. They saw him not necessarily as a legitimate scientist, Carl Sagan being the host and writer of Cosmos, the original Cosmos that came out on PBS in 1979-1980, and a prolific quote-unquote popularizer of science in the 80s and early 90s until his death in 1996. But he himself was very active about demarcating science from what he considered pseudoscience. But the interesting thing about that is that, on the other hand, his colleagues sort of demarcated a lot of the stuff that he was doing. So, you know, he was an interesting figure in that on both sides of the demarcation problem, he was, an active and he was actively involved in demarcation, and he was himself demarcated in several respects. So, yeah, I think that's it for Raya Lucaria for now. Now that we've addressed all of that, except for, of course, there's that extra key. And yeah, I guess now we need to go to the Roundtable Hold and see whether his bell bearing holds anything in addition to that which we've already purchased from him. No, it's just all the stuff that we have already purchased. Okay. Good to know. So now, time to return to Caelid. Yeah, I'm going to treat this as part of the Altus Plateau, which we're not doing yet until we've completed Caelid. So, because I think that's where we need to go. We need to go to the deep root depths in order to be able to access the rest of the Ainsel River. Because, yeah, I'm convinced, even more so after doing editing, that this is all just impassable now. So, you know, in recent... Okay, there's Jarberg, Ainsel... Okay, so we can unmark that. Keep that marked for now, but I'm going to move that a bit down. Also don't need the study hall entrance marked anymore. Grand Lift of Dectus, we still need marked. Okay, library is still marked. Okay, so... Abandoned Coffin. Yeah, we don't need that marked because we've already done that. So in the playthrough up until this point, I've had the problem of not having feedback, but of course since episode 30, the episodes have been, since I recorded episode 29 I should say, I started releasing episodes after that, starting to get feedback coming in. The exploration heuristic, not a big hit, so my apologies. In particular, one thing that has driven a lot of people up the wall is my insistence on unlocking all of the dungeons and then doing them later. So before we continue in Caelid, what I'm going to do is start, you know, the 2 dungeons in Caelid that we've unlocked, but not, or I actually think there might be more. So hold on. So we've done that. I thought there was one we unlocked along the way. It was here. Yeah, the Gaol Cave. Oh, okay, so we do have that marked. Okay. Oh, I was confusing that with the Gaol Tunnel. Okay, so essentially, now we're going to do the caves and catacombs and dungeons as soon as we come across them. Because, yeah, that was driving everyone up the wall, which, you know, fair enough. So we'll do them as we come across them, but of course we have a few that we've still not done, even though we've already come across them. So when we go to an area, if there are dungeons still outstanding from my former way of doing it, then we'll do those areas first, And then from then on, we'll just do them as we find them. So let's start by going to the minor Erdtree Catacombs. Alrighty, so again, as I mentioned, the playthrough up until this point, I've not had really any feedback to go on, so I've been doing things sort of my own way and trying my best to anticipate what the feedback will be and then adjust accordingly. But yeah, a lot of people have expressed their frustration. Frustration is probably putting it lightly, with my chosen approach to these areas. Okay, so we're probably going to be able to approach this area from elsewhere, so might be worth going in the other direction first. And keeping with the whole up before down thing, because at least to the best of my knowledge, I don't think that was part of what was driving everyone so up the wall, even though we're going down, but I presume we'll go up again at some point, by virtue of us having gone down. That seems counterintuitive, but you gargoyle friends are quite skilled with your ambushes, I gotta say. Okay, there's a chair there with no corpse on it, or person sitting on it. And there's another one there. That's creepy as all heck. I don't like it. Oh, okay. That's the lever for opening the boss door. I knew you were around the corner there. Oh, thank you. Get wrecked, friend. Grey Violet. I was expecting another trap there. Pretty cool how you can actually hear it opening. I want to say that's not a new thing, and then that's something that the Chalice dungeons did, but I could be remembering that incorrectly. So in this instance, going down before up actually had no impact on our trajectory through the area, so... Oh, some slime things here. Oh! Okay, that's Scarlet Rot. That's not pleasant. So I'm going to assume these friends are, I was going to say immune to fire, weak to fire, based on that message. So, gosh darn it. I don't think we have any fire bombs or anything. But we've got to have fire grease, right? Yes, okay. Oh gosh, wow, they're chasing me. Okay, my weapon is ill-suited to fighting these friends. Even with the fire grease. Okay, screw it. We're just gonna Aeonian Butterfly, Grave Violet, Grave Glovewort, level 5. Very nice. Okay, now the question... how the heck do we get up there? presumably from the elevator. Don't think it's worthwhile using our clarifying boluses at the moment, simply because I think we're very close to the site of grace. So we should maybe just sit at the site of grace. Love that you can just craft things while on an elevator. It's just no big deal. You just, just craft some boluses right here. Okie dokie. Gosh, you got me again, friend. Well played. Extremely well played. Try down and then down. Oh, we need to go through the elevator shaft. Clever. There's always some sort of trickery going on with the elevators. Thanks, FromSoft. Oh, gosh. Shout out to that, whoever left that message. The old crab. Oh, Golden Rune level 4. Hi, crab friends. Why can't you just be chill like your oh, okay, these guys are not chill. Why are the crabs after us? Poor things must be quite hungry. Yeah, that's the first time I've seen them trying to sort of fiend as though they're not actually gargoyles. Or rather, to fiend as though they're not actually, because I guess they are gargoyles. Or imps? What are they called? I think imps. Trying to pretend like they're not alive, I guess I should say. Imp head wolf. Head covering made from the largely unaltered head of an impish golem. Resembling a wolf, it holds trace amounts of lupine endurance. So, they're golems, which is to say, you know, returning to this theme of hive minds, then I imagine we're in the Erdtree Catacombs. Minor Erdtree Catacombs, whatever it's called. What was it called? Yeah, Minor Erdtree Catacombs. So, are they two, in a way, Erdtree avatars? Sacramental Bud. Is that all? An immature bud containing fresh blood, material used for crafting items, believed to originate long ago from a strain of buds cultivated with youthful sacramental blood. Not pleasant. Might as well be the Lord of Blood at that rate. Okay, I think we need to go back to where that pool of scarlet rot was. So yeah, the dungeons are becoming a bit more complex, and so I appreciate that. Oh gosh darn, I really should have seen that coming. That's a classic FromSoft trick. Okay, Stake of Marika is active. Let's see what we got here. Oh, more burial watchdogs, of course. Oh. Okay, it's not a good start. Not a good start! Oh my goodness. Missing having Jellyfish Fran on my hotbar. I meant to have her on the hotbar. Oh no. Trapped. I don't know how to fight these things. Other than to, you know, summon. I guess even when we were fighting them one-on-one, it was not an extremely graceful boss fight. They sort of move really awkwardly. Mad Pumpkinhead Ashes. Thank you, Raya, Lucaria, soldier friends. You know what? I think we need to switch them. That's better. I was really missing the jellyfish from there. I was gonna summon Aurelia, but then realized we didn't have the FP, so I should have drank some cerulean tears before. Yeah, anyways. Ashen remains in which spirits yet dwell. Used to summon the spirit of a mad pumpkinhead. The spirit of a mad soldier with a large, brawny physique. Though he has stifled his panic within the dark confines of his helmet, he rampages as if driven mad when agitated by bloodshed or the humming of insects. This mad soldier is all that is left of a broken gladiator. It's kind of sad. So, he was broken by doing too much PvP, seemingly. So again, a whole bunch of friends returning to Roots, as we've seen many times already. So after you've defeated the boss, interestingly enough, you can just warp away from here. But I guess, yeah, we might as well just go return to the entrance, make sure we're not missing anything. So again, I'm wondering if this is the friend we have to get the innards from in order to gain Michaela's favor, according to the two fingers. But interesting that she would be giving us that advice in Liurnia and not here. So, yeah, who knows. Okay, next on the list then is, I think, the Sellia Crystal Tunnel. Was this the proper entrance, though? So we obviously warped here through a trapped chest. But is this like the rear entrance? Sort of like the rear Gaol tunnel entrance. I don't remember where we landed on that. You know, it's not specifically identified as the rear entrance, so I guess we just have to treat it as though it's not. But it's interesting because whereas normally when you enter one of these areas you're descending, in this area you're ascending. So thank you. Nice try, friend. No, gosh darn it. Just trying to ignore them. Oh, gosh darn it, that was silly of me. There we go. Oh, dreadful Aegon. Sorry, soldier friend, or minor friend. Ouch. Really rapid fire those, can't you? Can't remember where we landed on this place as to whether maybe we did have to find another entrance because it was impassable or something. Or not impassable. We could not ascend any further. It looks like that may in fact be the case. Or is it? Gosh darn it. Ah, okay. Oh, crud. All that for a cuckoo glintstone. Oh well. Nice try, friend. Ooh, smithing stone level 5. So that's not what we need for, or is it? Oh. Ooh. Oh, okay, never mind. Our greatsword is already at plus 16. However, we can use that, I think, to upgrade our longbow. Because our longbow has lagged behind a little bit. So yeah, that's something we'll have to revisit. By revisit, I mean I'll have to go upgrade that later. Somber smithing stone level 4. We have quite a few of those as well, but no items, no weapons really that we're using that would be on that upgrade path. Oh, very nice. Another 2. Okay, that's great. rock blaster. Cool. So we can actually do some mining now with spells. That would be really cool if you could maybe use one of those spells to increase the number of stones you got, smithing stones you get from mining. That would be a really cool mechanic. One of the glintstone sorceries of the Academy of Raya Lucaria. Imbues the ferrule of the caster's staff with magic, then thrusts it into the ground, creating a massive magical shockwave. Hold to continue moving without striking the ground, and then push the end of the staff into enemies. An enhanced version of the Glintstone Miner's Stone Digger sorcery. It's not quite what I was suggesting it could be. But cool nevertheless, I think. And yeah, I think I mentioned this in the previous dungeon, but the dungeons are getting more complex and more interesting, I think, the further into the game we get. So I appreciate that. And it's something that I really should have, I guess, known would happen. Because the first few dungeons I was just like, wow, this is not amazing. What are they doing? Oh, crud. You can hear another one of the insects to our left. Yep. Try and be a little bit more stealthy, and he's standing there going just like ravenous at the thought of ambushing us. Kind of gives your position away when someone's wearing headphones. Dragon wound grease. Okay, there's a door over there. Faithful's Canvas Talisman. A talisman bearing an icon that depicts a group of masked figures raises potency of incantations. The figures represent the flock at prayer, their firm belief in the intangible inspiring even the solitary founder of their religion. What is faith if not an affirmation? I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. Why is it always dead end? Okie dokie. Interesting, that was right next to Radagon's seal. Here's some whispering in there. I assume that's the boss room. Okay, I can see something in there. Okay, so I need to drink this, buff, then Flask of Cerulean Tears, and then let's go. What the heck? Fallingstar Beast. Okay. Very interesting. So this looks just like, not just like, it's reminiscent of the friend we dealt with in the previous episode who was hanging upside down. in the Ainsel River Well, which also had very similar horns. Also used gravity attacks. That one was obviously, this one's sort of like a scorpion bowl. Wow, okay. Somber Smithing Stone level 6. Level 7, Smithing Stone 7. Wow, okay. Gravity Stone Chunk, Gravity Stone Chunk. Somber Stone Miner's Bell Bearing. Wow, that's quite the haul there. Okie dokie. That was an interesting dungeon, I gotta say. They're starting to get better and better. So it makes it easier to just do them as we come across them. Let's return to the entrance. Okay, so that was indeed the main entrance. So perhaps we should head to the Roundtable Hold and do some upgrading. Oops.
Back already. No matter. Lay out your arms.
Oh, new dialogue about Roderica.
The girl has come a long way. As ever, time and technique have made her stronger. 'Tis good to see. An imprisoned monster does not deserve an apprentice. Or a daughter. But at times, that's precisely what she feels like to me. I've gone soft. And it isn't easy.
Oh, man. He's an imprisoned monster. So, yeah, I'm reasonably certain he's misbegotten. Sorry, friend. That sounds awful. But yeah, glad that you have some companionship now. I appreciate that. And I'm sure she does appreciate you.
Greetings. Are you here for spirit tuning?
Alrighty. And so we were able to upgrade our bow to plus 14. But yeah, I can't go any farther with our heavy greatsword for now, which is fine. So next dungeon then is... Ooh, I guess there's also the Caelid Catacombs. So the Gaol Cave is next though. So again, you'll have to accept my sincerest apologies for the amount of frustration people experienced in having me just sort of gain access to these places and then just leaving them for later. You know, it made sense in my head in terms of trying to manage the excuse me, manage the amount of content in each episode. But I can see how it makes those episodes where I'm just walking around finding things. So our exploration heuristic says open before close, but this you can't open anyway. So anyways, I can see how those episodes would just be frustrating where see, oh yeah, I can't wait to see what Aegon has to say about this place. And then, oh, okay, well I guess I gotta wait a few weeks. Oh, I'm hearing scaring. Oh, that scared me. I guess I gotta wait a few weeks until Aegon goes back there, so I can see how that would have been frustrating, so. Please accept my apologies. Okay, I'm scared. Oh, it's like the villagers. Awful. Simply awful. Oh, we can't even put them out of their misery. Gosh darn it. Visions of suffering indeed. Why would they do this? So the name of this place is, oh, it's the Bloodborne Friends, Vulgar Friends. Excuse me, I don't know why I'm suddenly losing my voice. Let me take a drink of water. Perhaps it's because this recording session, even though not all of this is going to make it into the episode, but this recording session is now at an hour and a half, which is, you know, I don't typically have that much time. But Aurelia of Astora decided last night she didn't want to sleep. She wanted to stay up and party. You know, it could be worse, because on those nights when she doesn't want to sleep, so that's just for misdirection. It has to be, because nothing seems to, I don't get any build-up or anything. On those nights when she doesn't want to sleep, yeah, at least she's not miserable and screaming. There were a few days like that when she was a baby. Like, I guess she's still a baby, when she was a newborn. But, yeah, now when she doesn't want to sleep, she just smiles and laughs and is goofy and having fun, so at least there's that. And the overall, we're extremely, extremely lucky. She is, yeah, a wonderful and perfect baby in many ways. But in other ways, yeah, she's, and if you're watching this, Aurelia of Astora, at some point in the future, just know that you are perfect for us, and we love you, and every baby has challenges associated with them, so me saying this doesn't mean that you're any less perfect than you are, because you are perfect for us. That, yeah, sometimes Aurelia of Astora just doesn't sleep as long as we would like her to. Again, I'm hesitating because at some point in the future, maybe Aurelia of Astora will want to look back and see what was Dada of Astora. What was Aegon of Astora saying about me at this point in time, right after I was born? And I don't want her to watch this and be like, oh my gosh, she was complaining about me. What did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong if you're watching. Okay, Dada's walking in circles now, / Aegon of Astora, so I don't like this place. This place is dreadful. I am looking forward to the day when Aurelia of Astora is old enough. Okay, the rats are running away from something. It's a giant rat there. Okay, those are traps. Okay, I don't know if you're in cahoots with whoever set up those traps or if you set up those traps yourselves, but well played, friends. That was quite a sequence you had planned there. But yeah, looking forward to the day when Aurelia of Astora is old enough to be able to play video games. I think I will start her with 8 and 16-bit games. First I thought those would be upgrade materials, or not upgrade materials, crafting materials, but yeah. Some freaky noises going on here. So yeah, I think I'll start Aurelia of Astora with some classic games before trying to introduce her to more modern games. So I thought the Vulgar Friends were supposed to be like in charge of, not in charge of, I thought they looted battlefields. I didn't imagine that they would be essentially operating, they'd be the wardens of a jail. And because I looked this up, I was curious, like, you know, it occurred to me I didn't know the difference between a prison and a jail. Oh, that's going to open all of the cells. Okay, that's going to be, we have to be ready for that. But essentially, a jail is a place where you're being held, I guess, for an indeterminate amount of time or in the short term. Whereas, this is a shortcut, I presume, shortcut exit, which is nice. A prison is a place where you're being held, I guess, for, or so maybe it's, jail is sort of a short term in between holding place, and a prison is a place where you're sent for longer term or more determined for stays that have been decided, essentially. In other words, if you're being processed and prepared for a trial or something, you'd be put in jail. And then after you've had your trial and you've been sentenced to a, you know, X number of years in prison, then that's when you're sent to prison proper. So anyways, not sure if that distinction applies here. Somber Smithing Stone level 5. But that is my understanding of the distinction between the two. Dreadful. So now, yeah, they're all just going to be wandering around, which is fine. We've at least, with our weapon, decreased the number of them that we have to deal with. Scary. Super unsettling. So, all of that is to say, these are not people who have been, you know, I guess it goes without saying, they've not been sentenced to a crime. I doubt they have like a sort of judicial system in this world, but certainly probably not a just one. Pillory shield. But, yeah, you gotta wonder why these people are being kept here. Was it to try and figure out why they're still on fire? I'm not quite sure. Pillory made to punish serious felons, used as a shield. Though made of good, sturdy wood, it is only a makeshift tool and performs as such. Perhaps due to its use as a device with which the guilty were made to endure prolonged suffering, it raises vitality. Although it says the guilty, so I was just saying there's likely no judicial system, but, you know, that doesn't preclude the existence, sorry, I should say more accurately, you can be deemed guilty without a judicial system, or a fair judicial system. You can just be deemed guilty by, you know, accusation. If the right person accuses you of being guilty, then you're just guilty. And that is to say, if someone in a position of power says, oh, you're guilty of this, then you're guilty of this. Doesn't necessarily mean there's a judicial system. So we're going to fall through the floor here or something? Or is this the beginning of the area? I'm confused. Sorry, friend. So yeah, no idea why all these friends are being kept here. It's awful though. Simply just terrible. Presumably these are all the citizens of Caelid who were lit on fire by the Clean Rot Knights. And yeah, I've been wondering more and more about the possibility that the Clean Rot Knights turned on General Radahn. And insofar as they did, you would imagine that it might be because either General Radahn started to sort of feel guilty for what he was doing, for what they were doing, or that his Clean Rot Knights were annoyed with him for leading them into this horrible, horrible battle. That, they were inflicted with scarlet rot, and the rot was everywhere, they had nothing to eat, and, so, I don't know. It's all complete speculation at this point, but Wakizashi. Short sword with a tempering pattern on the blade. A weapon unique to the warriors of the Land of Reeds. Afflicts target with blood loss. These swords are considered auxiliary weapons, yet one man is known to wield this weapon in his left hand while using a full-size katana in his right. A demonic swordsman known only as Okina. I don't believe we read this one, but this ritual implement is a 3-pronged candlestick with solid flames formed of the magma of Mount Gelmir. When wielded as a weapon, the flames become supple whips of lava. So that was given to us by Patches. Yes, and I also meant to equip the parrying dagger because that'll save us some weight, I think. 1.5, or no, is it? Don't tell me it weighs the same. Oh my gosh, it actually does weigh the same. I don't know if that makes any sense. So that has parry, and this one has buckler parry. So before I want to say the buckler and the parrying dagger had the same parrying window, but that suggests that the buckler parry is actually better than, so yeah, I'm not sure. There's something else I wanted to look at. I can't remember what it was. Sorry, I just lost it in the ether of my mind. Golden Rune level 4. Stone Sword Key. See, there is something I wanted to look at or talk about. Don't give up, Skeleton. Oh, so you can do Don't Give Up, Skeleton. Okay, gosh darn it. Oh, okay, I remember. Earlier in the playthrough, I was talking about the reasons why you would use Bok for alterations. And, I suggested that really the only logical reason was for Fashion Souls. However, there's another reason that is fairly obvious, which is just, for one reason or another, just completely passed me by, which is weight reduction. And fairly obvious that, yes, it reduces your stats a little bit, but say you're only 0.4 units of weight away from being able to medium roll and you're fat rolling. That's another reason why you would go and remove the cape. So weight reduction is another very obvious reason why you would use Bok the Seamster's services. Okay, so there were rainbow stones there that we just picked up seemingly to sort of indicate you need to be going down somewhere, and you might not be clear on what your path is. So rainbow stones is one way of ensuring that you can make that descent. Oh, Frenzied Duelist. Okay. little too early there. Again, but got lucky. Ouch. Not expecting AoE there. Putrid Corpse Ashes. Ashen remains in which spirits yet dwell, used to summon the spirits of 4 putrid corpses. These spirits appear some distance from the summoner, though their movements are dull and confused. Their low moans make them effective at drawing the attention of enemies. True death does not come easily for them. Brutal. So yeah, that is really interesting actually. I was not expecting that we would drop into a place and have that be the boss fight, because typically in these areas you end up... Oh, okay, remember I suggested there was this place where, right near that Church of Marika, where there was an item over the cliff, and we'd yet to go there, and I said, hey, maybe there's one of these, you know, dungeons or something in Caelid, and that would allow us to access it. And we finally made it. Regalia of Aeocade. Treasured Sword of Aeocade, a lesser, long-vanished domain. The copper coloration is not to be confused for rust, but is a conduit for its wielder to move it by their will alone. Swords of Aeocade dance through the skies. Unique skill, Aeocade's Dancing Blade. Infuse the sword with energy, then fling it forwards in a corkscrew attack. The sword continuously deals damage while violently spinning. Charge the attack to increase reach and duration of the spin. Glowstone. So, yeah. I spent so long just trying to figure out how the heck are we supposed to get here. I don't trust those messages. I am not leaping over there. But yeah, here we are. So that's pretty cool. It's always a wonderful feeling when that happens and you're just like, yes, I figured it out. I did it indeed. Good stuff. That's really cool. I love those moments. Okie dokes. Any point in going back to the entrance? Probably not. So let's just warp to the next place, which is the Caelid Catacombs. Can we level up? We're 5,000 runes away from being able to level up, so let's pop a couple of runes. Huh. Okay, so I believe we said we were going to continue to increase mind until maybe we get it up to 20 or something. Oh, another thing I wanted to check was our great runes. Because, yeah, we have 2 great runes, neither of which we can actually equip, so not sure what that's about, other than, of course, one of the 2 that we can't use we still need to restore the benediction for, but yeah, anyways. So this is going to be Scarlet Rot. And so obviously, given that the entire area is absolutely... Oh, gosh darn it. Given that the entire area is absolutely just devastated by Scarlet Rot, it makes total sense that the catacombs would not be immune to the effects of the Scarlet Rot. Shout out to everyone for consistently pointing out in the comments that, yeah, you don't actually need to buff your weapon with Holy in order to deal with the skeletons, that you can just hit them one more time, and that's that, which makes sense, but be wary of skeleton. But yeah, if you have experience with Dark Souls 1, I don't see why you would... Yeah, it seems like a trap design for players who are a bit more familiar with the game. Oh. Thought we were being trolled there. So, ooh, Miranda Sprout Ashes. So that's what these things are called, Miranda Sprout. Excuse me. So we got level 5 Glovewort of Grave and whatever the other variety was. Gosh darn it. That's what I was hoping for. Oops. Thank you for that, friend. Might as well use a clarifying bolus. Thank you for the clarification. Oh, no, wait. Oh, I'm so silly. That is not for Scarlet Rot. That's for... Gosh darn it. I was going to say clarifying boluses? That doesn't actually make any sense. I actually don't think we have what we need for... Oh, yeah. Maybe we did at some point, but I don't think we ever actually... receive the item we need to craft clarifying, to craft whatever it is you need to alleviate Scarlet Rot buildup, whatever kind of bolus you need. So we are, for the time being, I think, just stuck healing, which I think is fine. Oh, thank you. Oops. Yeah, this is not a pleasant dungeon. So, I'll be glad to just be done with this. Maybe there's an incantation or something we can pick up? So, yeah. Something that we can use to address that. Although I imagine, again, that probably we would pick that up here, I would imagine, and not elsewhere, but... see if we can survive this with basically no HP. Cemetery Shade. Kindred of Rot Ashes. Again, apologies, I don't know why it's happening with my voice today. It's now Saturday, April the 1st, on the date of recording. I know I started recording this episode yesterday, but I hope you're all still having a fantastic day today. So we picked these up earlier in the Catacombs. Ashen remains in which spirits yet dwell. Used to summon the spirits of 5 Miranda Sprouts. Summoning consumes HP rather than FP. Spirits of sweet little Miranda flowers, carnivorous blossoms that feed upon human flesh. They creep slowly, scattering toxic pollen, vulnerable to fire. Do take care of the little darlings. So given their association with Scarlet Rot, it makes sense that they would be vulnerable to fire. We've learned time and again that, yeah, that's the key to addressing Scarlet Rot, is to burn it away. Ashen remains in which spirits yet dwell, used to summon a spirit of the Kindred of Rot. This spirit takes the form of a crawling pest, its chitinous body making a dry rustling sound. Attacks enemies by secreting sticky threads. The Kindred of Rot are the servants of the Goddess of Rot, servants that have been forsaken. So the goddess of rot, I'm assuming, is Malenia. And I'm assuming, because we have the two different Guidance of Grace directions here. One led us to General Radon, which obviously we've done. The second one is leading in this direction. So presumably that's where Malenia is. I think we said we wanted to go to the... that we wanted to go to the Divine Tower. I'm not entirely sure how we get there, though. I think it's here. So let's see if we go to Dragonbarrow West, whether we can see the Divine Tower from there. We can indeed, it's right there. Don't remember how we accessed this area. I think it was when we were just sort of running through. So we do have to be mindful that we still need to return here. And... oh, we still have to return here and explore the rest of the area more thoroughly. But I would like to restore the benediction to Radon's Great Rune. Ooh, I'm dry, dry as a bone. Fool dragon, surrender your strength. Let me feast on your heart. Okay. Dry as a bone, so I assume it's going to be another dragon somewhere. Oh, dragons everywhere. Oh, crud. It's usually not so... is this one going to explode? Is that why it has these red sparks coming off of it? Indeed. Wow, Somber Smithing Stone level 8. Did not know Somber Smithing Stones went that high. Oh, okay. There's always got to be a catch. You can never just run up to a divine tower and just be like, hi there, I'm here to restore the benediction of my great rune. There's always a catch. Okay, let's do this. So now from here, it's giving me shades of the Great Hollow from Dark Souls 1. Okay, that was, it almost got me there. It was fairly well played. So again, sort of in spite of what I said earlier in the playthrough about each area sort of having a checklist of things. That there, you know, each area has a divine tower, each area has this, that, and the other. That, and by this, that, and the other, I mean, yeah, each area has a divine tower, each area has sort of a destination area, or at least one destination area. They have their own, oh my goodness, their own catacombs and caves, as well as, this is so precarious, their own catacombs, their own caves, their own sort of wandering mausoleum, all sorts of stuff that each area has, except that each area is sort of, you know, remixed, I guess, just enough such that it's unique and offers a different experience. So, you know, even though, of course, this area has a... Gosh, this is a labyrinthian set of ladders, and my goodness. Even though each area has its own Divine Tower, the experience of ascending the Divine Tower has been completely unique in every instance in which we've ascended one. So I appreciate that quite a bit. There's a Site of Grace. Because yeah, in theory they could have just foamed it in and made it basically the same. But they did not do that. Divine Tower of Caelid Center. Okay, so you can actually go down from there. Interesting. But I wonder what it means by center. Because it's not... There's no way that's the center of the tower. Or is it? Do we still have that high up? We still have to ascend that much more? Can't be. Oh. The door is up here, okay. Okay, so maybe it is the center of the tower. Wow. Oh, I guess... Gosh darn it. I should have checked to see if that flame thing had an inscription on it or something. Okay, so maybe that was the center point of the tower. I thought we were already near the top. I guess not. So you can just ignore everything I just said. It is quite misty up here. Wow. Okay, so the first one had the fingers, the 2 fingers. Second Divine Tower had Ronnie's flesh. Is this one going to have the 3 fingers? No, just another 2 fingers. With Radahn's Great Rune, which is devoid of benediction. Okay, before we pick it up, I would like to take a screenshot. So it's it's like the trees in Super Mario 64, where they're basically 2D objects that rotate to meet you, or any of the enemies in Doom or Duke Nukem 64, or not Duke Nukem, just Duke Nukem 3D, I should say. Radahn's Great Rune. A great rune of the Shardbearer Radahn. Its blessing raises maximum HP, FP, and stamina. Radahn was amongst the children of Rennala and Radagon, who became demigod stepchildren after Radagon's union with Queen Marika. The Great Rune burns to resist the encroachment of the Scarlet Rot. Okay, I have to pull up my demigod family tree here to see if this squares with what I've originally suspected. I don't know that it does. And what's more than that, I think this is a definition of stepchildren. Demigod stepchildren. So, in other words, they became stepchildren to Queen Marika. Okay, that makes sense. Does that mean that Queen... Does that mean that Blythe is Queen Marika's child? Because, yeah, previously I was not sure where the heck Blythe would have fit into this whole thing. And I guess I'm still not sure, but... Okay, these appear to be the same two fingers. Or are they? This may in fact be a thumb. Thumb and a index finger. But I think it's in the same pose that it was in the Divine Tower of Limgrave. And it looks like the same type of tree as well. Okie dokes, well... Okay, whatever that is. Some sort of towers in the distance there. That's the divine... Which divine tower is that? Okay, so Stormvale... The Stormvale Divine Tower will be just west of us. Or the Limgrave, I should say. Divine Tower, yeah, it's literally right here. Or no. No, that, pardon me, is the Divine Tower of Liurnia. Okay, let's start again. This is the Divine Tower of Limgrave. It's sort of obscured by this minor Erdtree here. Then, Divine Tower of Liurnia, which means this here is probably the Divine Tower of the Altus Plateau or the Divine Tower of Mount Gelmir. But then there's also this one here, maybe the Divine Tower of Lyondell. And that's where the world sort of ends. There's a massive waterfall. And then the Divine Tower that's just in the middle of the water here. Behind the Bestial Sanctum. So yeah, not sure what to make of all of that. But yeah, it's clear that there's still a ways to go here. We are not even, maybe not even 40% of the way done the game. Probably a third at most of the way done the game. A third of the way to completing the playthrough, perhaps I should say. That's that was not a well-constructed sentence previously. Okay, so that's what happens when we go up. Now, what happens when we go down? Question is, maybe we'll send the elevator down and then we'll warp to the bottom. That'll save a bit of time. So, if we go here, the elevator should be back by now. Verify that, and that we're not missing anything else. Obviously we have to go back and check all the ladders and whatnot and go down. Okay, oh yes, and I wanted to check to make sure that there wasn't an inscription on this thing here. No, wait a minute, thank you. That's interesting. Okay, we cannot jump down, it seems. Although, obviously, we are going to want to head down in this direction and see what we may or may not be missing. I assume that along the outside of the tower, all the scaffolding and ladders that we have on the outside of the tower, we will have plenty of items. So that's going to be important, and we're going to want to make sure that we pick all of those up. As much as I'm afraid to deal with the platforming involved. Wow. Someone is upset. Well played, friend. Okay, so the Divine Tower itself is basically an entire area, which I find really quite cool. I was not expecting this. It's the same things that we find on the pillars up above. Cannot call torrent in here. Oh, that's bad. Okay, I guess that was supposed to happen. There's someone down there. And a cage elevator that will lead up. A la Sen's Fortress in Dark Souls 1. Or the Nightmare of Mensis in Bloodborne. Golden Rune level 12. Don't mind if I do. Try backstepping, this person says. You know, in that person's defense, they put the message in a very specific spot. Try backstepping. Therefore, try here. And I was like, okay, yeah, I can try that, but I think I'm going to move a little bit further back because I don't think that's quite right. But yeah, you know, obviously they put the message where they put it for a reason. And it was silly of me to think that, yeah, I knew better. Clearly I didn't. Wow, 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 wow. Okay, let's try this again. Gosh darn it. Okay, I think the backstepping thing is probably overcomplicating it more than it needs. It's overcomplicating it. Let's just leave it at that. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, that's impressive. I thought he was just gonna fall off. Sorry, friend. Couldn't resist. I missed having the kick so much. Okay, so I think maybe just try jumping. Oh no, oh, that was terrible. Yeah, that was... I almost said that was much easier. Almost. I should have just went with my instinct, which was to roll. Although, to be fair, I've been wrong before. On many occasions when it comes to platforming in this game. My intuition is not always correct. In fact, I would argue it's often incorrect. I think we need to jump down here next. Oh. Ooh. I thought we were dead there again. Oh, I messed that up. Block that. That was a headshot. Nonsense. Can he block the poison? It's probably not worth trying. Yeah, right. Okay, let's make sure there's nothing else here before we proceed. Yeah, I'm not jumping off there, friend. Nice try, though. Let's see what's up here. Or are we going down? Or are we going up? This was totally unexpected. I did not expect this divine tower to be an area unto itself. There's nothing over there, I don't think. Or is there? Looks like it's just a message. Gosh darn it. Could this be an item? You did make me think that, so well done, friend. Okay. Who are you? Godskin Apostle. You have a lot of HP, friend. Okay, yeah, we found another Godskin friend, different kind of Godskin friend, in front of the other Divine Tower, so it's sure to be a reason for that. Thank you. Okay, so that was it for here, seemingly. Now we're back here. Here we go again. Okay, yeah, again. Sometimes you just need to trust your instincts. Although, having said that, I just don't know if this is the right way to go. Okay, so there's nothing there. I really hope that person's not trolling. Okay. What the heck are we supposed to do here? Are we jumping on... I gotta say, even though I'm enjoying this area, this isn't my favorite type of Souls gameplay. I assume we need to land on this thing that's on fire, right underneath where it says switch action on our screen, but I don't know how the heck you're supposed to angle the jump in order to be able to do that. Oh, here goes nothing. Oh, no. I thought you could change directions in the air more than that, but clearly not. I totally miss this ladder here? I think I did. Wow, unbelievable. After all of that. Where the heck are we going though? Oh, the shortcut exit. Okay, that's nice. Okay, so I must have not only missed the ladder, but also something else here. Oh, too early. Still no drops. So the larger one we found at the Divine Tower of Liurnia was a Godskin Noble. So I suggested earlier this one might be Godskin Apostle. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Okay, so we totally missed this last time. After all that, my goodness. Spent so long trying to figure out how to make that jump. My goodness. Ah, for soft joy indeed. I was considering just going somewhere else. I was more or less done with this area. It's now it's now the next day, Sunday, April the 2nd. Oh, thank you, Grace. Thank you. Divine Tower of Caelid basement. So yeah, I was more or less done. Did not want to deal with this place anymore. And yeah, ran out of time yesterday anyway after dying a bajillion times. But yeah, I figured, okay, maybe I will just try to return to that place where we fought this apparent Godskin Apostle. And yeah, see whether we can't figure out... Gosh darn it. And see whether we can't figure out how to complete the descent down to what I suspected was the basement. Thankfully, this friend does not have a lot of poise. Fancy armor, but yeah, not a lot of poise associated with it, seemingly. A warrior offer armor. Whoops. Okay, it looks like we have a boss fight. Alright, let's give it a shot. We actually don't need clarifying boluses anymore. One thing I have neglected to mention, the whole idea of clarifying boluses, I like that quite a lot. When you think of Bloodborne, when you had frenzy build up in that game, it wasn't, it was a sedative that you took, which I talked about that in Bloodborne Let's Talk Lore, the idea of a sedative as being antidepressant, sort of. But yeah, a clarifying bolus, you could look at as sort of, you know, someone is having a hallucination about something or other, and then they take this bolus, and then they have clarity. Oh, okay, I wasn't actually seeing a green monster over there, or whatever the case may be. But anyways, yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. But let's see what this boss has in store. Ooh, Godskin Apostle, okay. Okay. Not gonna try and parry. This one has more poise. Oh, bad. Amazing music, this. Oh no. Second phase. Whoa! Okay. Stretch Armstrong. Oh. Should have seen that coming. Alright. Let us equip our new great rune. And then we'll use a... Where the heck is it? Oh, I went the opposite direction. A rune arc, which will keep the rune from spilling out the bottom. I'm not sure which one is better. I feel like Renala's rune. Because it actually increases your stats might be better, but I guess we don't need all attributes to be increased. This guy's going to be kind of a pain in the rear to deal with every time, I think. But that's okay. Oh, come on. Oh, dreadful. That was terrible. Okay, I think it's worth trying to see if we can parry that friend. Come on, friend, give me your armor. Probably can't parry a jumping attack. So can't parry a missed parry. Okay, you can parry, but not riposte, seemingly. Oh. Wow, so we equipped the talisman, which gives you more, which raises your attributes, but makes you more vulnerable. And that is quite apparent from that hit. Gosh darn it. Okay, so they are repostable. I just froze up there because I was not expecting that. Okay, yeah, definitely can't parry the jumping attack. Gosh darn it. Partial parry. No, stop it, Aegon. What are you doing? Yeah, I don't know if the parrying is worthwhile because so few of their attacks are actually parryable. So it may not be worth even bothering. Might as well just two-hander weapon and get better at dodging their attacks. I don't know how many rune arcs we're going to want to use here. Gosh darn it. Second phase. That was a great boss fight. Get wrecked though, friend. So something I noticed during the boss fight. I'm out of breath here. I'm gonna take a drink of water. Yeah, I held my breath for like the last minute of that boss fight. Something I noticed that you can see very clearly in the illustration for the item here is the nose and the eyes on the hood, which is quite creepy. There's also, I think, a face that you can see on the back as well. Yeah, again, quite creepy. So hood, robe, bracelets, and trousers. So that's it. Whew. Wow, yeah, that was an awesome boss fight, I'd say. A hood made by sewing together patches of smooth skin, worn by the Godskin Apostles. The Apostles, once said to serve destined death, are wielders of the god-slaying Black Flame. But after their defeat by Malekith, the Black Blade, the source of their power was sealed away. So Malekith, the Black Blade, is the person from whom the Black Blade, the Black Knife that was used in the Night of the Black Knives, was taken, I believe. So yeah, that's the noble robe, and you can see the faces in this one as well. And the Godskin Apostle robe. So this one, the descriptions appear to be more or less the same. The bracelets have what appear to be tree roots depicted on them. So let's see if I was just seeing the eyes on the back of the robe, or if the eyes are actually there. There do not appear to be eyes on the back of the black robe, so I don't know what I was seeing there then. But what about the headpiece? Maybe they were on the back of the headpiece? No. Okay, I might have just been imagining that part, but either way, quite interesting. Okay, ultra rare item. Godslayer's Greatsword. Sacred sword of the glome-eyed queen who controlled the Godskin Apostles before her defeat at the hands of Malekith. The black flames wielded by the Apostles are channeled from this sword. Unique skill, the queen's black flame. Set the blade ablaze with the god-slaying black flame before delivering a sweeping slash. Additional input allows for a follow-up attack. The black flames will continue to wear down HP for a while. So you need 22 dex and 20 faith to wield this. Just want to see what the moveset looks like. I think that's more or less the same. Obviously, you don't have the stats required to use this special attack, but yeah, pretty interesting stuff. Where is our weapon? Okie dokie, I guess we're gonna return to the entrance. Very interesting stuff. We have 114,000 runes now, so we should probably level up at the Site of Grace here. And I think I am almost out of time here, but problem is, yeah, I have no idea how much stuff I'm going to end up editing out of the episode, so I don't know whether to end it here or to just continue another day. But let's start by leveling up. We're close to being able to have 2 levels from that. So, let's see. Yeah, we would need just under 20,000 runes. So, might as well. Okay, our focus bar has become a bit longer now. So where to now? I did want to explore that trench that we unlocked when we unlocked the Deep Schiefer well. So maybe we can do that today. Let's see. So, in that direction, there appears to be, or at least this was my initial thought process, there appears to be a jail there, an Everjail, rather. Oh, for a second I thought they were friendly. Bears a lot of HP. Oh, that's dreadful. Uh-oh. That's bad. Sorry, Rune Bear friend. Thought the bear dropped an item. Oh, there it is. Alrighty then. I think one of these paths leads to the Coliseum. You know what? I think we've been... Yes, we have been on the other end of this path. Indeed. When we were just doing a quick exploration. Stone Sword Key. When we were doing a quick exploration of the area. And I also remember the Raya Lucaria Sorcerer's Head being there. So... if there is an Everjail, it's on the other side there. So might as well see if there's anything worthwhile in this direction. Oh. Oh, yeah, this is leading to the Coliseum. Indeed. Oh, sorry, Torrent. Oh, gosh darn it. I thought the angle was too extreme there. all the places to put this friend. They put him on this thing he can barely stand on. Probably not the best place to put that friend from a game design perspective. Spiked Palisade Shield. A large wooden shield covered with spikes. Though relatively light, it lacks in damage negation. Designed to perform shield bashes, these attacks riddle the enemy with holes, earning it the nickname of Pard Shield. Okay, we have to deal with this friend and then giant jar friend. Ouch. Whoops. Oh gosh darn it. Missing all the critical attacks today. So that's the minor Erdtree where we first encountered one of the Erdtree avatars, the Putrid Avatar. That's basically Fort Gaol above us, the area around Fort Gaol. Hi, penguins. Just making sure there's no items or anything we're missing here. I wonder if we could have made that jump. Somehow I doubt it. From up there onto those trees. That is the Bestial Sanctum up there. The Land of the Giants there. And again, this Divine Tower in the middle of the water. The ocean, I guess. Not sure if that's supposed to be salt water or what. Okay, giant jar friend. Oh, he's even more giant than I... Ooh! You can now see the Knight of the Great Jar's red summoning sign. Oh! Okay, interesting. Is this the guy we... Oh, he's using a jellyfish friend shield. Is this the guy we fought for patches? I know that was earlier in this episode, but that was not a couple days ago. That was yesterday for me. This is frightening. Most frightening of the faces we've seen manifested through the roots yet. Okay. So, do we have to fight all three of these friends to earn Giant Jar's favor? Knight of the Great Jar. They're all Knights of the Great Jar, okay. Oh, okay. So the Great Jar stuffed the ashes of these friends in their jar. And so, I guess they're able to create red summon signs because of it? Not sure. So we have to win their favor by defeating these friends in order to gain entry to the Coliseum, seemingly. Though we could, in theory, just enter the Coliseum from the Roundtable Hold, so I don't know why we need to bother, but let's see. Oh, summoning adversary, so we're not invading them. Well done. She buffed her weapon. GG, friend. Okay, 1 down, 2 to go. That was a little dishonorable of me, but all is fair in love and jars, as they say. Gravity buff. Ooh, that was cool. Oh no. Don't know if I deserve that win. Oops. What the? Oh my gosh, right over his head. Okay, so that buildup is frostbite. Been wondering about that for several episodes now. What do you use to address frostbite? Is it like warming pulses? Okay, we might not actually make it through this. Oh, wow, okay. That was intense. I did not expect that that would actually cause so much trouble. Oh, he's gonna explode. No. Great Jar's Arsenal. A charm that resembles a great jar overflowing with weaponry vastly boosts maximum equip load. The great jar grants this talisman to their warriors. Carry as much as you can, grow big and strong. Interesting. So it goes from, so if we don't have anything, 95-1. This one is 109-4, and then 113-2. Nice. Okay, that's it, I guess. That's all we get from them. Okay, fair enough, friend. Could we have just walked around you this whole time? Giant head. Yeah, I suppose we could have just walked around. And up until recently, there would not have been anything there. And by recently, I mean the update which added the Coliseum. So people playing this game for the first time would have been like, wow, there's some cool castle over here. So like if I had come here before the update, I would have been like, whoa, what is this all about? And then get here and realize there's nothing there and be very disappointed. Indeed. Okie dokie. Where to then? Yeah, I guess Aeonia Swamp is the next place. So we are going to explore Greyoll's Dragonbarrow in greater detail later, but we're going to do that when it's a bit more, when it makes more sense to do so. Which is to say, or did we want to explore the Sellia Gateway first? Looks like they both go to the same place. So maybe we'll do this first, and then we'll loop back around here. Not sure. We don't have time. We don't have much time left today anyway, so might as well get started on this area. That's frightening, even though we've seen those friends before. Oh, gosh darn it. I really should just be calling it an episode. I don't want to deal with this place at all. My ghost friend. Oh, let me see it, if only one last time. Your splendid blade dancing amongst the scarlet rods. I assume he's talking about Liurnia. No idea how we're meant to explore this area. Street of Sage's Ruins. Meteorite staff. Staff embedded with a dark purple glintstone, said to be the fragment of a meteorite, boasts high sorcery scaling and boosts gravity sorceries as well. However, this staff cannot be strengthened in any way. That's interesting. Thank you for patiently waiting outside, friends. That's very kind of you. Absolutely dreadful, this place. Okay, these friends are coming out of the swamp itself. Uh-oh. Gosh darn it. Ah, I love poison swamps. In this instance, I suppose, rotted swamps. Dreadful. Rock sling. One of the glintstone sorceries that manipulates gravitational forces, pulls a clump of rocks from the earth and sends them flying. This sorcery can be cast while in motion, a gravitational technique studied by the young Radon. His master was an alabaster lord with skin of stone. Okay, so we're sort of in the corner of, we still need to explore the southern part before we continue east. So we can jump down from up there. We've already explored this part. Traveler's hat, garb, gloves, and slops, and a perfume bottle. So I thought the first time we would have come across this was Altus Plateau, but I guess not. That is the perfume bottle. Hat of a traveling perfumer of no renown. An associate of a healer, he is said to be in search of new aromatics and flower gardens in hopes of treating misbegotten omen and those seen as impure. Gosh darn it. Friends, I'm doing a playthrough here for YouTube. You might not be familiar, but it's a thing where I read item descriptions. Not sure how you would describe that to an in-game person. Garb of a traveling perfumer of no renown. The thick front apron, the badge of a perfumer, has been replaced with a more simple one made from soft leather. Oh gosh darn it. The way they come at you, they sort of waddle a little bit and they're like, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. Just you wait. They're like, no, seriously, wait, because if you don't go anywhere, that's the only way I can get you. Wonder what a biologist playing this game would think of all the various different growths and things that are happening. Sacramental bud. I feel like biologists would have some very interesting things to say. Maybe I'm getting the field wrong. See a scarab on the left there. Whoa. Is that like a giant scarab? Oh my gosh, it is. What the heck? Okay. Is that because it's like a Caelid mutation? Okay, so this... Oh, right. Okay, so we have been here before. I guess the Everjail is up there. It's on the top of the cliff. So we need to explore here, before we proceed. Awful, this place. You can barely even see anything. Okay, we found the border between Caelid and Swamp of Aeonia. Uh-oh. I need to look at the map, friends. This, I believe... Yes, I was going to say, I think this is the Sellia Crystal Tunnel. So we've been here. Again, I think that dogger. That dog is much bigger than they usually are. It's the usual rotten stray ashes, the usual Caelid mutation, I suppose. Ashen remains in which spirits yet dwell, used to summon the spirit of a rotten stray. Spirit of a stray dog corrupted by the scarlet rot. Though it is only a small creature, it is as violent as it is nimble, and its fangs fester with poisonous rot. I do find it interesting, the idea that you can have these summons. It's a developer message there. The idea that you can have these summons where, you know, they're rabid creatures inflicted with scarlet rot. And yet, yeah, you can have these summons that are on your side. They consciously know to avoid harming you. Not sure if that makes any sense. Sellia Under-Stair, so we've already unlocked this Site of Grace previously. Stop by the shack beyond the southern gate. I will be sure to do that, friend. Gosh, you can barely see anything here. Okay, I'm gonna mark on the map here that there's another one of those ghost friends. No idea. Still, no idea how we're supposed to handle those, but... Oh, gosh darn it. Oh, gosh darn it. Wow, so you just have to use Torrent for everything here. Okie dokie. Okay, Sellia Gateway. This is not where we were supposed to go, but that's okay. I'll have to explore those ruins later. Oh, the doggo's got like... Dreadful. I'm sorry, doggo. He was caught in like a bear trap, kind of. Dreadful. So is this just going to be another advertisement for that person's shop? Stop by the shack, indeed. Will do, friend. Will do. Okay. That's not weird at all. Hello.
Oh, a pleasure to see you. A pleasure indeed. I am Gowry, a great sage. In my day, anyway. I'd hoped to ask a favor when one of your ilk came along. A strapping young tarnished, able to cross the scarlet swamp of Aeonia. Don't fret, I'll provide fine recompense. Should you accept, I will teach you the secret of Sellia, the town you see there.
Sure.
Ah, then you are willing to lend a hand, are you? I need your help to heal a certain young girl. Her name is Millicent. You will find her beyond Sellia, resting at the church atop the cliff, stricken by the rotting sickness.
Alrighty.
The rotting sickness that afflicts Millicent has no cure. When the Erdtree flourished, even the demigods could not stave off its effects, despite their nigh godhood. But Millicent's suffering can be ameliorated. For this, you are to find a certain needle. Seek the deep, scarlet swamp of Aeonia outside Sellia's bounds. The needle, made from unalloyed gold, is lost somewhere there. First, you must find its hidden, then I will tell the secret.
Okay, then. Millicent. I feel like we've heard that name. It sounded like he was talking almost about the gold sewing needle. God, there's two different types of needles at play here. I don't imagine it's the same type of needle, though. Okay, so we've also unlocked the Site of Grace here as well. Or have we? I guess not. Uh-oh. Okay. That's not very nice, giant friend. My goodness. This place is all sorts of hostile. Oh, gosh darn it. I didn't think it could hit us from that side. Terrible. Oh, I forgot about the Death Bird up there as well. Okay, so maybe we'll go deal with the Death Bird. Ouch. Not a good start. Dreadful start, in fact. bad. How do we survive that? That was almost really bad. Death's Poker. Barbed rod carried by deathbirds. The birds are graveyard firekeepers. It is said they rake out the ashen remains of the dead from their kilns. Unique skill, Ghost Flame Ignition. Thrust out the barbed rod and set its tip alight with Ghost Flame. Follow up with a normal attack to set the ground ablaze with Ghost Flame, or a strong attack to trigger a massive explosion. They're firekeepers. Fascinating. Okie dokie then. I think that's more or less it for this episode. Oh gosh darn it, there's some more stuff here. Of course there is. And a site of grace we've not yet sat at. Southern Aeonia Swamp Bank. And I'm surprised we survived that encounter with that deathbird. I thought that was going to be the death of us. Okay, there doesn't appear to be much else here. Okay, there's a scarab. Ash of War, Poisonous Mist. Poisonous Mist. Bathe armament in poison and then slash, spreading toxic mist forwards. The armament retains its poison for a while. Okie dokes. So this is where we started. Uh-oh. Are we being invaded? Yep. No. Ooh, Millicent. No, friend. Where is she? Oh, there she is. Friend. Okay, Sacramental Bud, Golden Rune, lots of Golden Runes, okay. But now we're afflicted with scarlet rot. And again, we still don't have the boluses to deal with it. So we'll just have to continue to heal, I guess. It does drain quite a bit of your HP, though. And it lasts quite a while. So I don't know if it's worthwhile just going back to sit at a site of grace or something. Simply a dreadful swamp, this. Although, yeah, it certainly helps a lot. Who are you? Oh, crud. Oh, terrible. I like that armor. What? Did this scarlet rot kill me there or something? What the heck happened? Okay, let's grab these items. I think that's gonna do it for this episode, though. A mystery for the next episode, that one. Are those supposed to be clean rot knights or something? They also appear to be gone. Oh no. Yeah, unless it was the scarlet rot that did that to us. I have not the faintest idea. Aeonian butterfly. Somber smithing. Oh my gosh, they are coming out of the scarlet rot. Clean rot armor. Okay, so they are clean rot knights. Okay, that's gonna be the last thing. I'm calling it. Calling it there is too much. Too much right now. We've done a lot in this episode, so. Armor of the Clean Rot Knights, celebrated for their undefeated campaign in the Shattering. The Clean Rot Knights vowed to fight alongside Millennia, despite the inevitable, if gradual, putrefaction of their flesh. Their acceptance of their fate made these battles the fiercest of all. Okay, so despite what I said, the Clean Rot Knights appear to have been on Millennia's side all along. So, yeah. It is wonderful looking armor, I gotta say. Okay, yeah, we're gonna stick with our current armor, but yeah, we'll pick up with all of this in the next episode because I have a lot of thinking to do. But thank you all very, very much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.